nation. NJIA is the way to help us to survive. NJIA is the way to active celebration. Let's join hands and dance together, make us feel alive.
Good afternoon. Thank you for your presence. In our day-to-day life, we all use the way or a path to reach our various destinations that we choose to. NJIA is a Swahili word that means the way. The way to get power over your life. The way to have an active voice in decision making. The way to become self-reliant and have respect. Back in Kenya, I'll be working with blind women and girls to empower them with livelihood skills and computer training. When you grow up as a small child in a family where everything is given to you, it is very hard for you to understand that in the other parts of the world, there are people who cannot afford even a meal a day. That there are people who cannot afford even a tablet when they are sick to relieve their pain. That there are people who cannot afford to pay for their school fees when they need to go to school. This was my childhood life. And when I was 11 years old, my father lost his job. During this time is when my challenges began. I was sent to the village to stay with my grandparents. At this time, we stayed for days without food. This was unusual for me. I found it strange. I was more often at home than in school. This was something difficult for me to understand. At age 12, I was almost married off without neither my knowledge nor my parents' knowledge. At this time, I felt like the world had turned his back against me. To make the matters worse, I became sick, I became ill, and I couldn't afford to take myself to the hospital. Neither my grandparents couldn't afford. So I was in pain and I didn't know exactly what to do because I was helpless. I didn't have money to support myself. Luckily enough, one of my cousins visited and he found me in this condition. During this time, he took me back to my parents. Though I managed to go back to my parents, we were still caught up in poverty. It was hard for me to go to school. It was hard for us to afford a meal. So I used to wonder what is happening to me. But during this time, through determination and the help of friends, I managed to finish my primary, secondary, and eventually my college education. During and after my college is when I work with organizations that works with the blind. And at this time, I interacted with blind women and girls. They shared their stories with me. For the purpose of their confidential matter, I'm going to change, I have changed their names I've changed their names. The first one was Naomi. Naomi was born blind. And according to their culture, when you are born blind as a firstborn child, you are looked at as a bad omen. You are looked at as an outcast. So when she was born blind, this meant that she was not supposed to live, but to die. And whose mistake was this? This was her mother's mistake. So the mother was sent away, and the father married another woman. The father and the new wife, they tortured Naomi. They neglected her. They made her suffer. They stabbed her so that Naomi could die. But lucky enough, she didn't die. She lived on. But during this time, she underwent a lot of pain, suffering, agony. She didn't know exactly what to do. It was only when she was 18 years old when a neighbor introduced her to this organization that was working with the blind, where she started receiving her support. The next one is Esther. Esther was born in a good family. But this family never accepted Esther as a child. Why? Because she was blind. They were ashamed of having a blind child. They never felt like this is a child. They hid Esther for all of her days. And the funny thing is, when Esther tried to ask the father, because she would always see the siblings go to school, and ask the father, when am I going to school? The father would always say, Esther, there are no schools for the blind. And if there is one, maybe it might be far, far away, and you cannot afford even to be in this, to pay for you to be in this school. So Esther grew up with a passion wanting to go to school, but nobody cared about her. To make the life worse for Esther, she was married off at age 12, as young as she was, to a man as a third wife. This man really tortured Esther. Esther was abused sexually, and she was not supposed to raise her voice at all. And every time she tried, she was told, you are 100% disabled. What can you do? What else can you do in this world except fulfilling my sexual desires? This was too painful for this young girl. It was really painful. But lucky enough, after 2 years of this marriage, there is a friend who knew about the organization that works with the blind and introduced her to this organization, and she started receiving her support. In these stories, we see women who are marginalized. And not only marginalized because they are women, but also because they are blind. They are discriminated. This is what changed my focus. At first, when I was going through my experience, I always felt like I want to work with women so that they should not go through the same thing I went through. But after meeting and my experience with the blind women, it made me feel that now I think my focus should change and I should work with blind women who are double marginalized. After this time, I worked in an organization of the 2010 participant of Kandari, that is Joseph, who works with the blind and the deaf and the dumb to empower them through microfinance. This is when I got to know about Kandari. He introduced me to Kandari. When I came here, I always wanted to work with blind women, but I didn't know exactly how I should start, how I should go about it. But today, as I stand here, I can really tell you that NJIA organization is going to establish a center where blind women and girls will be trained in livelihood skills. By this I mean, we will start by small-scale farming, like vegetable and fruit farming. We will also engage in handicraft. We will also work to empower the blind women. We will do poultry keeping. And also, because they suffer discrimination and violence, we are going to train them in skills, protective skills that they can use to protect themselves when they are in danger. And for the young women who wish to continue with their education, that is the young girls, we are going to prepare them for higher education. By this I mean, we are going to train them in computers so that when they come out of this center, they will be ready to go for their higher education while they are self-reliant. With this NJIA project, I'm very sure that so many women, blind women and girls, they are going to get power over their lives. They are going to become self-reliant and have respect in the community. That they are going to have a voice in decision making on matters that concerns their life. With this project, I envision a Kenya where men, women, and girls will choose and do what they want to do in life without any restriction from anybody. Why? Because they will be empowered to do what they want to do in life. Because we are going to give them a way to find, they are going to find their way and do what they want to do in life. In my journey, there are 3 things that I have learned. Poverty pushes people down. Harmful traditions pushes people down. Empowerment is what people need to overcome adversity. And that's why NJIA is the way. NJIA is the way to reach our destination. NJIA is the way to help us to survive. NJIA is the way to active celebration. Let's join hands and dance together, make us feel alive. Hey, NJIA is the way to reach our destination. NJIA is the way to help us to survive. Take a chance and strive for women's liberation. NJIA is the way to make us proud. Let's sing together now. NJIA is the way to reach our destination. NJIA is the way to help us to survive. NJIA is the way to active celebration. Let's join hands and dance together, make us feel alive. Hey, NJIA is the way to reach our destination. NJIA is the way to help us to survive. Take a chance and strive for women's liberation. NJIA is the way to make us rise.
And now we have a 15-minute question and answer session by panelists and a 5-minute question and answer session from our online panelists. So who would like to? Wonderful, Mary. I'm going to ask you a question which is, so I'm trying to be the devil's advocate. Your presentation was great. It was really, really empowering. The presentation itself was very empowering. But I want to ask you a question where I'm going to be the devil's advocate. That is, I want to ask you if it is not more important for people who are sighted to fight the superstitions about differently abled people among sighted people. We know that these superstitions and these kinds of misconceptions which are widespread, some things were mentioned at the beginning. Don't you think that's more important for us to take up those first? That's my first question. The second question is about empowerment. As a practitioner of gender and development, I know too well that it's important to give women skills, the skills that you mentioned, but don't you think that empowerment means a little more than that? Because people with skills need to be able to sell those skills. They need to be taken seriously in the market by the government. So what do you plan to do on those fronts?
Thank you for the question. I believe that everybody has a right to fight for what is right for he or herself. But right now, I think I'm focused to working with blind women because I've been with them, I've felt, I've worked with them, and for them, for me, like for a sighted person, you'll find that maybe I'll be suffering for this one or maybe this tradition. But for tradition, harmful tradition. But for the blind, they are suffering the danger of being blind. They are also suffering they are also suffering because they are women. And you see, this is what I mean that I want to work with them, because for them it's double marginalization. For us, it's fine. We can fight for her, but I want to see to it. This is my focus as for now. And about the second question, about empowerment, I believe that in my center, the women are going to be exposed to various skills that they will choose exactly what they want to do in life. But also, we are going to be involved in advocacy. And we are also going to do awareness creation, whereby the community, everybody will be involved to see to it that their issues are taken care of.
Well, Mary, it was a very nice presentation. You talk about empowerment for the blind women in Kenya. What I don't understand is that you can absolutely, depend upon the training which you got from Kandari, you'll be able to empower the blind women in Kenya. There is no doubt. What about others? I mean that there are many other sectors in the society. I mean, the non-disabled, there are the teachers, the educators, the social reformists. What is your plan for empowering the other groups?
Okay, my plan, I think for now I want to work with blind women to see to it that but I will not ignore the fact that we have to collaborate with other institutions, other organizations that are working to see that the issues are addressed. I will work hand in hand with the other organizations that are working to fight for the rights of the blind women and girls, or to fight for the right of disabled people, so that we can fall forward and do something to work on the situation of the blind women.
No, that's not my question. Actually, I'm not asking you how you train the other group. It's not like that. If you want to change the society, you need to empower the society as well.
Yes.
So you said how you are going to empower the blind women.
Okay.
Understand? So what is your plans to empower the society as a whole? Because you said the main evil was harmful traditions.
Okay.
How will you overcome it? What is your plan to overcome it?
Okay, I'm sorry I didn't get the question right, but I will thank you for the question. To empower the society, I'm planning to do advocacy work, whereby we will get the society understand these issues and why they should not discriminate people according to cultures. They should get to understand that all these people are very important in the society and we need each other for the society to grow. So we are going to do advocacy work, awareness creation of the issues and why we need to live as a community, as a family, accepting each other as a family, as a community, so that we can move forward. Nobody nobody who is born has a bad reason of living, but everybody is born to live in the society and work and contribute to the society.
Very good presentation. Very impressed with the presentation. Sure, you will roar in Kenya. My general question, I have some general questions. First to empower me, first to get my ignorance out, okay? What is the state of government in Kenya in doing blind process? What they are doing, what support they are giving from the government side?
Okay, the government of Kenya is trying to reach out to the communities, because before them it was not possible for the people in the village, for the people in the villages to have education. But the government is trying to reach, but for now they are not reaching the interior parts of society. Most of the people who are empowered, mostly I can say who are empowered, are in the cities, in the town centers, but in the villages, we still have some work to do there, and that is where the traditions, harmful traditions and this superstition comes in. And therefore, I think they are doing a good work, but they have not reached the interior parts.
They are not reaching there. Okay. Now, my another question: what is the blind population in Kenya?
The blind population, as per the Kenya Union for the Blind statistics of last year, is 518,000.
It's quite large to a country like Kenya. Now, what is the treatment of women in that?
Women is 55%.
3%. So what is the current status? Because you have given us some stories about what was their life there. But mostly what these women are doing currently now? Sitting at home? Or?
So they come again?
No, mostly these ladies, 50% of the ladies talking about. What they are doing?
Okay, those in the villages, they are just left at home, they sit at home. And for men, they will always maybe go out begging, but for women, even us as women, we are not supposed to go out anyhow, especially in the villages. It's considered like women should be at home. So most of them are just sitting at home.
In your country situation, mostly the girls, especially girls and women, families doesn't want to leave them out of their house, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. So when you start a center, what do you think? They will be coming every day commuting to the place, or you will be having a residential place for them to stay and work?
Okay. In the beginning, they will be coming from home, but I will do what we call awareness creation. I will talk to their parents. I will talk to them so that they can understand why their children, their girls need education, why they need to do something so that they are not just dependent on people, but become self-reliant.
In your county, how many blind girls are there?
In my county, it's unfortunate I haven't gotten the statistics because I've been trying to get on the net, but I couldn't find the exact statistics. They are generalized.
So that is the first task you'll be doing when you're back home?
Yes.
Okay, what are the skill sets? We are talking about training them in different handicrafts and agricultural things. Okay? So what do you have in mind? What is good for your county to do in agricultural side?
Okay, thank you so much for the question. In the beginning, when, for example, we talk about farming, we are planning to start with a small-scale farming, where we will try like vegetable and fruit farming. Also, in the poultry, in the small animal rearing, you can try like start with the poultry keeping. And in the handicraft, myself, I've done a course in dressmaking and some handicraft I can do, like making some good mats. And so I'm intending to start with this because I believe when they do this, if it comes out well, so many people will learn to have it.
During your internship, did you try anything in India?
During my internship? Yes, during my internship I was in Kopal, but mainly what the organization asked me to do is to train or to teach the girls on sexuality and reproductive health, which I did and worked with them on that mostly. But also we did some farming because they have farms that they are working every morning. They would go to the farm and sometimes in the evening, so we also did some work in farm.
Good. But in my opinion, we need to get more information about what are the kind of jobs blind girls can do at the center and what market can take up from these things and all your skill set you are developing there. So those are things I think you need to get more research on when you're back home. Good that?
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you, judges. We also have one online panel, and her name is Trina. She's from Bangalore. Trina started working in Kalighat, one of Asia's oldest and largest red light areas, at the age of 18. Her interaction with the commercial sex workers spurred her passion to spend a life working on gender empowerment. She went on to do her master's in social work and started Kranti at the age of 22 in Mumbai. Kranti identifies the potential in girls who have been trafficked to become agents of social change, as they have survived the worst social adversities and have the passion and understanding to solve these social problems. Kranti continues today using counseling, education and leadership training to make marginalized girls change agents, while Trina has moved to Ashoka to explore other areas and models of work in the development sector. That's about Trina. Now the question from Trina for you is, thanks Trina, I'm sure she's watching you online now. Who will be the trainers and mentors at the training center? How will you find and equip these trainers to work with women with disability? Okay.
Thank you so much. Okay, the first trainer will be myself, because I have some skills that I would like to impart on these young and girls. And also, I'll be working, as I've been here, I've been talking to friends. I've been talking to friends who are like-minded, and one of them has trained in farming, that is in agriculture course, so she's really willing to come in and help. So together, and one of them is also good in computers. So I believe when I go back, we will form a team, and through this team, we'll be able to start the project.
Her next question to you was, because of the prejudice against women with disability, many women might not be allowed to leave home. They might not have independent mobility skills. How will you ensure that these women find out and come to your center regularly?
Thank you so much. As I will be going around to talk to them, to talk to their families, I believe I will enlighten the family about the blind women and why they need to go out by themselves. And when they come to the center, they will be trained in mobility, so that they are able to go out by themselves. And this I've been learning it from one of my friends here. I believe when I go back, I'll be able to guide them through the mobility training.
Thank you, Nyasiri. Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much.
And before we move on to our next